If you want to reflect across the x-axis, which is this line right here, you'd have to change the y in the coordinate to a negative or a positive if it's already a negative. For example, you change 6 and 1/6 to a negative 6, which would be this point. You change a 1 and 3/1 to a negative 1, which is this point. You'd have to change 1 and 8/1 to negative 1, and so on. Eventually, this will form this shape, reflecting it across the x-axis. To reflect across the y-axis, which is this line here, you'd have to change the x-coordinate in the coordinate to a negative or a positive if it's already a negative. For example, you change 1 and 1/6 to negative 1, which would be this point. 3 to negative 3, which would be this point. 8 to negative 8, which would be this point, and so on. Eventually, it will form the shape reflecting the other shape in quadrant 1.
Okay, so for rotation, it's basically turning a figure around a center point in a certain amount of degrees. For example, 90 degrees counterclockwise and 90 degrees clockwise, and etc. So I'm going to be showing you how to rotate 90 degrees clockwise, which is xy to y negative x. For example, this figure right here that I've plotted on quadrant 1 and into quadrant 4, point A is 3, 3, and if you flip it, it'll be 3, negative 3, which is the new point A in quadrant 4. And so on for points B, C, and D. So as you can see, this is the new.
Translation is when every vertex of a figure moves parallel at the same distance.
An example would be this figure moving 7 units down the y-axis. All the vertexes would shift 7 units down.
Point A's coordinates are 1, 6. And when you shift it down 7 units, it becomes 1, negative 1.
Point B's coordinates are 6, 6, and when you shift it down 7 units, it becomes negative 6, 1. Figure 2 represents the pre-image crossed over the y-axis to the left by 7 units.
So when point C is translated across the y-axis by 7 units, its coordinates become negative 4, 1. You can stop.
A dilation enlarges or reduces all dimensions proportionally. A dilation with a scale factor greater than 1 is an enlargement or expansion. A dilation with a scale factor greater than 0 but less than 1 is a reduction or a contraction. In this example, the scale factor is negative 2, with points A, B, C at negative 1, 1, negative 2, negative 1, negative 1, and negative 2. To solve this, you would multiply each number by negative 2. So negative 1 times negative 2, which equals 2, 1 times negative 2, which is negative 2, making the new point A to negative 2. And you would do the same process for the other 2 points until you find your final answer.